So we've all probably been to a sporting event or anything like that, or have seen one where there's always like this one person who's just really annoying. Like they will not be quiet, even when, I don't know, they get yelled at by the other fans. So it tends to actually happen a lot in hockey, and so it kind of gets on my nerves a lot. And so, I mean, like, so what? Person's just enjoying the game, why should they really care? Well, actually, it tends to matter a lot, especially at hockey games, because there have been instances like last year in the playoffs where it was the Washington Capitals versus the Philadelphia Flyers. And so it was supposed to be a really nice night because, unfortunately, the owner for the Flyers had recently passed away. So they were going to do a video tribute for him beforehand. And so they passed out little bracelets that all lit up. And it looked really cool before the game. Unfortunately, it turned out to be a bit of a blowout with the Capitals winning, I think it was 6-1. And so in the third period, with like 7 minutes or something left, the fans got really angry and started throwing the bracelets onto the ice. And because of that, they assessed their team a minor penalty, and a lot of other very annoyed fans lashing out at them. So there was that, and yeah, that just wasn't good. And so I can talk about this kind of because I have been a fan for a bit over 4 years, and I also was a referee for hockey, so I do know a couple things about the rules, and I knew that the throwing the stuff on the ice was called for a penalty. And so fans have a really big impact on hockey games because they can psych up the team, or they can, in some cases, really bring the team down. And that was definitely one of those cases. And so today I'm going to be talking to you about how to be at least a good or better hockey fan in 3 simple steps. The first step, probably the most important step, is be respectful. Because not being a respectful fan is probably the worst thing like in the world. Like everybody knows there's always those fan bases that all they're known for is their bad fans. And that kind of really demeans from the rest of the fan base because pretty much every team in any sport has good fans and they also have bad fans, and you kind of have to balance it out. And so one way to be respectful is you'd actually be surprised how often this happens, especially in the NHL, is don't cheer when somebody gets injured. It's happened and it's kind of disgusting, but that's just that. And just try and be as respectful as possible. Like if someone gets injured and they get up, and even if they don't get up, you always have to clap for them. It's just common courtesy. And so the next step is try and learn some of the rules, because it also kind of annoys me when people, like a really obvious penalty call or something happens and they're just like, what the heck, ref, and things like that. And so like a couple of the rules that I know I really was confused with at the beginning was icing and offsides. And so icing is when a defensive player in the defensive zone right here tries to clear the puck out and it goes past this goal line without anybody around, like past this red line touching it. So like if there's a defensive player and he's like behind his goal line and he shoots the puck out and it goes all the way down there and nobody else touches it, that's called an icing. And so then what happens is the defensive team doesn't get to change and the faceoff goes out here, back into the defensive zone. And so that's been changed a couple times to make it a little bit easier to call, but it's pretty much the same, and that's how it pretty much works. Offside is just when the puck crosses this line right here after an offensive player does. So say someone tries to pass the puck over here to somebody who's cherry picking in the offensive zone, and he's already here before the puck gets to him, that's an offside, and that goes to a face-off zone right here, something like that. And so just some basic rules, some of the basic penalties like high sticking and tripping, is kind of self-explanatory, but some people don't know what they are. Another one is, it's kind of fun to do it, but you can learn some of the little lingo that happens in hockey. So if someone makes a cool play or something, or they're just, you really like them, you can call the play or the person a beauty. It's just a fun thing to say. Or if someone makes like a really nice move on a defender, you call that a dangle. And then if he makes like a nice like shot after that and scores a goal, you call that a snipe. It's just, it's fun to say. And so, in short, like, hockey fans are extremely important, and they can really have like a really big impact on the game. I'll close with a story. It was from my first game here. It was the home opener of the D1 game, and I was sitting behind in between the benches on like the student section, and there was one person standing behind the other team's bench who would not be quiet the entire game. Like, he was banging on the boards like in front of the bench and like yelling at them, trying to get them, I guess, off their game, and like calling out like individual players, like, hey, you something something, sometimes some words that probably shouldn't be said here, and things like that. And so eventually he actually had to be escorted out by the police. And so actually everybody started cheering after he got escorted out, but pretty much just try not to be a bad person.